Hello, everyone. Welcome to another day at Humanity Rising. Today is the day 4 of this week's program, introducing Living Resonance Leadership, Master PhD. I'm Cheng. I'm the founder of Living Resonance Leadership. And usually, our beloved Jim Garrison will open the day. And right now he is on a pilgrimage trip in Mexico, and he is sending us greetings by video. So let's watch the video.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jim Garrison. I want to welcome you to this session of Humanity Rising. I'm coming to you, as I have all week, from Teotihuacan, where we're preparing ourselves for the solstice ascent to the Pyramid of the Sun tomorrow, to consecrate ourselves in light of Kogi prophecy and in solidarity with similar events happening all over the world, to answer the call of the mother at this time of great human duress as we teeter on the brink of self-destruction and have to, at the most fundamental level, come to a determination individually, communally, and as a species, where our ultimate loyalties lie, where our alignments need to be, because the mother is now in the process of restoring herself, with or without us. Today, we went to the shrine of Guadalupe, which is the most sacred shrine in Mexico, dating back nearly 500 years to the decades immediately after the Spanish conquest of Mexico in the 1520s, when a very poor, humble, illiterate peasant named Don Pedro was walking along the road and by his home and heard his name called, and in a very familiar maternal way, and without thinking much, he turned around and scrambled up a hill to see who was calling his name. And he got to the top of the hill, and there, lo and behold, resplendent in all her beauty, was the great mother, the Madonna. And she said, "My child, I have a task for you to do. I want you to go into the city," this is Mexico City, "and tell the bishop that I'm here. Tell him exactly what you've seen and describe me in detail." So Juan Pedro trundled off and went to the palace of the bishop in the fort there that the conquistadors had set up, and it couldn't get in. Finally prevailed upon one of the servants to give a message to the bishop that he had a message from Our Lady. Bishop didn't believe him, sent him off, and a couple days later, Juan Pedro had another visitation on the same hill, and this time the Madonna, the mother, told him to go to the bishop with increased fervor and tell him that he had a vision that he needed to share. And one thing led to another, and the servant went into the bishop's quarters and said, "Bishop, you got to listen to this guy." And so the bishop allowed him to come in, heard what he had to say, and then said, "Well, how do I know if this is all a figment of your imagination? You have to come back with a sign." So Pedro trundled back up. And a couple of days later, hears his name called, and goes up to the top of the hill, and here it was just a voice. And the voice said, You get to the top of the hill, you're going to have flowers. And this was the dead of winter. So he gets to the top of the hill, and there's these beautiful blossoming flowers. He gathers all the flowers and puts them in his cloak and goes off to the bishop, and stands before the bishop, and the bishop says, "So what's your sign?" Juan Pedro said, my sign is there was a bunch of flowers at the top of the hill. So he opens up his cloak, and all the flowers fall out, and they're emblazoned in the cloak was the imprint of what has come to be known as the Madonna of Guadalupe. And like the Shroud of Turin, it's a deep mystery. It obviously wasn't painted on. It is an integral part of the coat that he was wearing. They've done all kinds of tests on it and verified its authenticity. And 10 million people come to the shrine every week. So we spent late morning to early afternoon just being there and going up and seeing where he lived and various other aspects of his visitation that has now become the greatest shrine in Mexico. What is extraordinary about Guadalupe appearing in the aftermath of the conquest of Mexico is that she formed a 4-petaled flower, as we were told. She appeals to the indigenous people who recognize her as the great indigenous mother. She appeals to the indigenous people who are slightly skeptical. She appeals to the Catholics, the conquistadors, as Our Lady, and she appeals to those who are secular but interested in the divine feminine. So she came to the conquered people of Mexico right at the moment when they needed solace of the moment from the mother. You know, when you're a child and you skin your knee or you fall off your back, you don't want your father. You want your mother. It's your mother that cradles you in her arms and tells you it's going to be okay, and kisses your wound and just loves you back into healing. And that's what Our Lady of Guadalupe has done for the Mexican people for the 500 years of colonialism, and continues to the present day. And Juan Pedro was made a saint only recently under the reign of Pope John Paul II. So you see this great big huge sign or statue of John Paul II. And so that was our day. And we wanted to go to the mother and consecrate ourselves. And then I told you a couple of days ago that the Mamo, the shaman from Colombia, the Kogi, was bitten by a poisonous snake. And right at the last minute, the day before he was to fly, and couldn't come. And who emerged but this Cunadera, a Mayan shaman woman of great power, who just happened synchronistically to appear while we were at Guadalupe today. She came back on the bus with us. And as I speak, she's outside cleansing with various herbs, every single one of the pilgrims, so that we're immersed in the mother. We're cleansed of our delusions as we prepare for the solstice tomorrow. We're going to rise before dawn and have a beautiful sunrise ceremony that she will lead. And I'll endeavor tomorrow, sometime during the day, to come back to welcome you for the solstice. But I want to just extend once again my heartfelt gratitude and love for each and every one of you. And as we go through these times of duress, let us remember that whatever is happening, we're being held tenderly, compassionately, and with infinite mercy in the hands, in the womb, in the heart of the mother. Thank you, everyone. Welcome to Humanity Rising.
Welcome back. Well, Jim's words that no matter what happens, even in this time of duress, we're held by the mother in her womb, in her care. May that resonate, may that ripple, may that be words be with you. And to that note, I'm very excited to introduce to you the theme of the day, songwriting, creativity, and the leadership. I'm going to invite my co-presenter, Paul and Judi. You may turn on your video, audio.
The host has to do it.
Can you turn on your video, Paul? Here you go. Here you are.
Yeah, oh, I gotta turn on my light too.
Well, while Paul turn on the light, I want to give a short introduction of today's theme. Because when I started to talk to people about songwriting and leadership, often people say, like, how do you put these two things together? And I want to say, if you look at today's world leader, flip on the TV and news, there's one thing that they lack is joy. These political leaders and some of the the powerful, so-called powerful people in the powerful leader in the powerful position, that it's almost like you can tell they're not so well. What's missing is this joy. And for me, songwriting is not about, I mean, there's one thing about song in our kind of overculture, mainstream culture is very tightly coupled with entertainment. And of course, there's that element, but the songwriting we're talking about here is sacred. It's our pathway to connect with the mother through joy, through expression, through freely expressing not just joy, but all human emotions. So I want to introduce you my two dear colleagues, Judi and Paul. They are both very accomplished coach and leadership development and transforming they have both illustrious career in transformational work. And Paul has been working with a business called Face the Music, bringing music and songwriting into cooperation and to help people do team building and leadership development. And Judi is a scholar and also coach, studying spirituality and at the workplace. So you will hear both of them very soon. And for now, I want to invite Paul to help to open the space and also guide you into this the theme of today through a toning exercise. Oh,
Right. Thank you, Spring. Welcome, everyone. Yeah, I need the toning and centering. We had a little login tension before the webinar started, so this will be great for me, and I hope it's good for you too. I'm going to invite everybody to close their eyes if they feel comfortable with doing that. And I wanted to start out with a quote. There's a neighbor of mine called John Ballou who is into human tuning and healing through resonance. And a quote from him: "We live in an oscillating universe of infinite possibilities. We are vibrational beings. We resonate. We travel through multidimensional entangled filaments of light. We are navigators on a vast ocean of energy and sound. We hyperleap through synaptic vortexes surrounded by entangled webs of illuminated light filaments. We are light beings of infinite possibilities, dancing to the sounds of a musical universe." So our bodies and our minds and our energy and our nervous system can be tuned like a musical instrument can be tuned. We're resonating, and our emotions and external things can detune us and encourage dissonance within our life. So we want to do a little thing about tuning together for everyone that's on this thing. We can align them together like a whole orchestra and be in tune, and then we can make whatever music we're going to make. So I'd like you to become present to being here right now. Let your mind become synced with the rhythm of your breath. Feel the sensations in your body, the warmth or coolness or tingling, or pressure of your weight on your chair, your feet on the floor. Any internal dialogue that might be happening, invite that to get quiet. Pass on, get as quiet inside as you can. See if you can feel the vibrations of being alive. Invite you to smile inwardly and outwardly. Find the tone of this bowl. Find it within yourself.
oh, did you turn on the original sound?
Did you can't hear that?
Not very well. I can hear faintly.
Okay. Please stay centered while I do this. Try it again. Is that any clearer, Spring?
I can hear. It's just not as clear as it
Right.
feels a little bit filtered.
It's being held back. He needs to turn off or turn on the original sound from musicians, which may very well be at the top of his screen on the left.
Okay, I did it in the settings. One more time.
That's it.
Oh, yes, yes.
All right.
Better.
I had to do it in 2 places. So let's recenter ourselves on the tone of the bowl. See if you can find it within yourself by humming it or singing it. Or you do the octave below. What I'd like us to do together is take in a full breath, and when you release it with your mouth open, do the sound ah, and we'll do it 3 times. So you can do it with the tone that you found. Breath in. And I'd like us to do 3 with your mouth and lips in a circle, singing ooh. And as you sing it, feel where it resonates in your body, where that sound makes its vibration. Now I'd like to invite you to do a 3rd one, this one with your lips closed and humming the sound So, feel where that resonates. As the last part of this, I'd like to put these together. So in one breath, doing ah, and then closing your mouth slowly to ooh, and then ending up with You actually don't have to change the original sound, you just have to change your mouth. And then feel the resonance, see how it moves inside your body. We'll do this 3 times. Welcome to our resonating universe. As you feel ready, open your eyes, and I'll hand it back to Spring. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. It's my sound. I'm hearing myself echoing. Do you hear that?
Paul has to turn off original sound.
Oh, okay. Oh, there's still echo.
I'm working on it.
Okay, here we go.
I'm on unoriginal sound now.
It's amazing we can actually do this over Zoom. So thanks for technology and holding for its limitation, holding space for limit to grow. As I was doing exercise with Paul, Paul has been teaching all sorts of people doing songwriting for all 20 years career. And one thing that struck me, Paul said, as the three of us were designing the upcoming course, Songwriting and Leadership, that's going to launch in September, Paul said something like, everyone can sing. All we need to do is to hold space, hold that potential for people. And I really honor that because I am for those of you listening, if you are wondering whether you can sing or not, if you have the desire to express yourself through voice and haven't, I'm an example of that. I didn't start singing until I was 41. And before that, I never thought ever that I had anything to do with music or singing or writing music. I wanted, but that door is like shut really close for me in my heart, in my inner self. But it's a teacher like Paul who came to my life and held that space for me and awakened the singer in me. So it's now our turn to hold that space for whoever is attracted to us. And I want to tell the story. So song, I think a part of the reason I didn't sing for 40 years is because I want to come to a place to honor song as sacred beings. And I want to tell the story of, just now Paul opened the space by reading this beautiful poetry about how we're vibrational beings living in a vibrational universe. And as we, part of this leadership we're practicing is to generate resonance, is to allow ourselves to be resonated and also sending out signals into the world to create a resonance. So that's how Judi and Paul and me, the three of us, got together is through resonance. So 5 years ago, I was attending this international conference, Climate Change and Consciousness at Scotland. And it was a very potent social field, and there are indigenous people, there are people from all over the world, from 40 different countries, and representing all kinds of cultures and perspectives and views and approaches. Climate change, this field is not a homogeneous, we're not a homogeneous group of people. There are tensions, oppositions, frictions, and even conflicts arise. And many of them actually, which is a good thing. I think it's a good thing that people come forward with passion, with desire and intention and collide into each other. And it's through that collision, creativity can happen. I actually celebrate that. And so at the end of that conference, as I'm allowing myself, my body and emotion and soul to be the tuning fork of all that giant waves of energies colliding, resonating, synchronizing with each other, this song came through called The Children of the Earth. So I directed 350 people in the conference to sing this song. It's the first time I'm step into a choir director 10 years after, probably 8 years after I learned start learning music. And we sang the song at the end of the conference. And right after that, I met Paul at another coach and a leadership development conference. And Paul was doing his Face the Music group singing, group songwriting exercise there. So I shared the song with Paul. And as a fellow musician, Paul very generously offered, said, how do you feel about produce this song? And I've never had any producing experience. I said, what is that? What do you mean by produce the song? So, and then Paul took on producing this song. Paul, maybe I'll hand it to you. You finished telling the story, how the producing this song.
Yeah, I was inspired. I made the offer, and Spring took me up on it. And not long after that, I was going to Peru, so I had made some basic tracks for it. I was recording with some musicians that I met down there and getting it going. And then the next month after that, my mother got sick and ended up passing away relatively quickly. And the song was in mothballs for about 3 years, I think, like that.
And COVID happened.
And COVID happened, and which COVID would have been a great time to do it if it was on my radar screen, actually. But Judi and I are buddies. We have a call where we do creative things together and sort of hold each other accountable. And I started doing this exercise of unfinished projects, which created a very intimidatingly long list. But the process is to work on 1 or 2 or 3 at a time and not think about the whole thing. And so Children of the Earth made the list, and it surfaced to the top, and I started working on it again. And I got my friend Evan involved because I was so confused by the way I recorded it that I couldn't even figure out which way was up. So he helped me straighten it out and put some guitar parts on it. And he teaches elementary children and directs children's choirs. So Spring said, I'd like to hear a children's choir. I said, well, I think I know where there is a children's choir. So Evan got them rehearsing it and singing some parts in Chinese and all kinds of stuff. And we got that down and ended up finishing that up and releasing it earlier this year. To make a short story long. Back to you.
And in releasing that, Judi joined our party and helped get herding me and Paul along.
Right.
Right. So I think maybe long story short, how about let's play this song, and so to have people have a feel. It's at the end of the song there are speakers from 12 different countries joined this project, and it makes it truly a international production. So let me see if I can successfully share screen. Let's see, what would be a good way to do it? Let me see if I can do it this way. Can you see my YouTube?
Yes.
Okay. Do you?
We can hear it too, yes.
Works? Okay.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, it's not playing clearly, Spring.
It's not play very clearly.
It's warbly.
What you need to do is to stop sharing your screen, reshare it, and choose the 2 boxes on the right for audio and video, and then everything will play nicely.
Okay. Another way is I wonder if I can find this file on my hard drive and share with because of Zoom, there's a video sharing. I don't know if
either way is the same, whether you play it through YouTube. The key is the two boxes that'll enable the computer audio and video to play smoothly.
Okay. Let me try this one. Let me try again. Does that work?
Mother's tears melt the ice of the heart. Elders' song burn away the fear. The planet is awakening. The universe is calling. We are the children of the earth. We remember who we are. We are the children of the earth. We remember who we are. We are the medicine. We are the medicine. We are the wells. We are the wells. We are the medicine. We are the medicine. We are the wells. We are the wells. We are the children of the earth. We remember who we are. We are the children of the earth. We remember who we are. We are the power. We are the power. We are the hope. We are the hope. We are the power. We are the power. We are the hope. We are the hope. We are the children of the earth. Children of the earth. We remember who we are. Remember who we are. We are the children of the earth. Children of the earth. We remember who we are. We are the ocean. We are the ocean. We are the forest. We are the forest. We are the flower. We are the flower. We are the land. We are the land. We are the children of the earth. We remember who we are. We are the children of the earth. We remember who we are. The planet is awakening. The universe is calling. The universe is calling. 我们是地球的孩子。
我们是地球的孩子。
古老的记忆在复苏。
Singabantwana bomhlaba.
我们是地球的孩
Wir
子。
sind die Kinder der Erde.
ما بچه‌های این سرزمین هستیم.
आम्ही या भूमीची लेकरं आहोत.
Jesteśmy dziećmi ziemi.
Είμαστε τα παιδιά της γης.
Somos los hijos de la tierra.
We remember. We remember. We remember.
All right. It was every time I listen to this, the children's part makes me really feel really attuned to the hope. No matter what kind of duress we're in, there's still hope. So yeah, so this music video is on YouTube. Maybe Judi or Paul, can you send the link to on the chat? And I just want to share this story with you to show that a song can be a great instrument to cohere people, to cohere purpose, and as an inspiring instrument for leadership. So with that, I'll turn this to Judi and invite her to. Judi, you may want to introduce yourself a little more and then share with people what are we cooking in the next offer. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Spring. So I'm Judi Neal, and I am involved in a couple of different organizations that I think are in alignment with songwriting, creativity, and leadership. One of them is Edgewalkers International, which is a company I run that supports people who walk between worlds and build bridges between worlds. And you mentioned joy earlier, Spring, and we do monthly Edgewalker cafes that are free to bring Edgewalkers together wherever they are in the world. And this month, a week from today, we'll be doing an Edgewalker cafe it's called Shades of Joy. Looking at the different forms of joy and the different levels of joy and how we can have more joy in our lives as a part of spiritual practice. And for me, songwriting is one of the major sources of joy. There's a mindset that I find I need to be in when I do songwriting that is dropping of ego, of big opening up to what I call the muse or source or the universe to see what wants to come through that will have meaning to me and maybe meaning to others. Also, as Spring mentioned, I've been involved in leadership development and coaching for many years and done a lot of research on workplace spirituality, and I've published 10 books on workplace spirituality and on transformation. Paul has a chapter on whole systems transformation in one of my books. And, there's a community of people who care about spirituality and consciousness, transformation, transpersonal shifts, and how the arts can have an impact in leadership on shifting us in that consciousness where we tap into source to create more positive impact in the world. So if you'd like, Spring, I will go on and talk about the structure of the course. You ready for that? Okay.
Sure, yeah.
So the course begins September 10th, and it is going to happen online for 2 hours a week for 8 weeks. There are 8 modules, but there will be a lot of work beforehand and in between as well. And this is kind of the high-level overview of the different topics that we're inviting you to be with us and to co-create and to find your own muse, your own connection to source, so that your leadership is more inspired and more impactful. So in the first week, we'll do a course introduction and we'll talk about our methods. Everything we do will be highly experiential, which is a little ironic because we're on webinar today, and webinar does not support much experiential expression, but we'll still find creative ways to do that today. In the course itself, we will not be in webinar mode. And so there will be lots of interaction, and I'll talk about that more in a minute. So we have 6 themes that we weave throughout the whole program, but each module will focus on one of those particular themes. So you see them listed here, that in week 2, the theme is inspiration, looking at being an inspired leader and how songwriting practices can support you in finding your source of inspiration. Week 3 is a focus on purpose and meaning. And again, what are the songwriting practices and the creativity practices that help you get clearer and help others get clearer on their purpose? And the same thing for the organization. If you're a part of an organization, how can you use these creative methods to create a greater sense of purpose and meaning? That's what one of the things Spring did when she wrote this song at the conference and then shared it with others and have been sharing it since then. I also, just a little sidebar about sharing Children of the Earth. When I first heard Paul share this song with me, I said, we need to get this out in the world. Actually, I didn't say we, I said, you need to launch this, like have a global launch and get it out in the world so people will play this various places. And he said, well, you're going to help us then. And that's how I got invited in to work with Spring and Paul on doing this global launch, which we did on Interfaith Harmony Day, last February. What I was going to say is, at that time, I was planning a trip to Singapore. I'm on the board of an organization that looks at creating a new era of well-being and flourishing for everyone on the planet. It's called Octave Institute. And I knew that every meeting was opened with some kind of contemplation. And so I asked permission from Paul and Spring to use this song in that board meeting that we were having. And they gave me that permission. And that song was shared during a meditation that the group did before doing some work. And I remember the moment when Spring started singing in Chinese. This shift, the shiver went around the room when they recognized this wasn't just in English, that this really was a cross-cultural, multi-faith, integrated, global song. And they really felt the energy of the song. And it was such a gift that when we did our opening launch back in February, I asked the board members if they would come to our launch and talk about what that meant to them. And so this is a song they now use in their mindfulness training and in other meditative situations. And we invite you to do the same. So I was talking about week 3 has a sense of purpose. Week 4 is to take a look at challenges and opportunities as a leader, and then facing challenges and opportunities in your songwriting as a hologram or a metaphor for your leadership challenges and opportunities. But also that might be a topic of a song that you might create, is looking at what's challenging, what's facing you. Week 5 is on vulnerability and resilience. And you don't hear about vulnerability much in leadership. But every once in a while, there might be a research study or interviews of leaders. And we've come to learn that being vulnerable and authentic is core to being an inspiring and impactful leader. So it's an important aspect of leadership and a very important aspect of songwriting or any creative endeavor, is to really get in touch with that vulnerable part of yourself. And by doing so, you build resilience. Week 6 looks at what are the resources you call upon, and that's particularly on a spiritual or invisible level. What resources do you have? What allies do you call upon? How do you get guidance? So this really goes into the transpersonal and spiritual aspect of creativity and leadership. In week 7, we're going to be pulling all this together into some collaborative ways of being. We actually do have collaborative exercises throughout the whole thing, but week 7 puts the lens really on the collaborative process of creating and leading. And then in week 8, we integrate everything that's gone before and look at what are the applications people can take out of this for their leadership going forward. While I'm on this page, just let me see if either Spring or Paul wants to add anything to what I've said.
I think you've covered it very well, Judy.
I was, Judi is, I'm always very impressed by your organization, very organized. And oh, one thing I want to say is that we also will run a free master class coming soon. I think, what's the date? August. I'll put the link on the, drop the link in the chat in a minute, where you can experience with us what, you know, what this format is going to be like. And one thing I want to underscore is that songwriting, so the way I was taught is like the song that resonates with our soul is almost like an ethereal river that constantly around us in our space. And the songwriting practice is almost like we try to learn how to grow this antenna to tap into this river of song that's ours and receive the song. It's about drop into, and that's why the practice of vulnerability is essential, because in that moment of receiving, you actually consciously enter into the receptive mode and let the song to come through you. So that's why I think it's a critical critical ingredient in the holistic yin-yang balanced style of leadership that we are cultivating here.
Thank you. Yes, that's so important. And so when it applies to songwriting, it applies to leadership. And when it applies to leadership, it applies to songwriting.
Yeah.
So with our, this is my last slide, and this is looking at what happens within each of our modules, kind of the dance we do with our working together with each other and with you. And so each module will begin with setting the context for a particular topic, like inspiration or vulnerability, and giving you some things to think about and to talk about and to contemplate. We do a centering practice every time. There will be one or more group discussions where we do breakout groups where you'll get to meet fellow participants and go much more in depth. There's always a songwriting practice, and don't let that scare you, because they're fun and they're simple, and you will be surprised if you've never done songwriting. It doesn't matter if you think you can't sing. Paul said everyone can sing. But if you think you can't sing or think you aren't a musician, you're going to discover all of us are musicians. We all have a song in us. We all have creative expression. And so it doesn't matter what your background is. If you're actually have a strong background in music and in songwriting, the course still will also work for you because of the depth we go into on the various topics and how they apply to leadership and to your life. We do sharing of the songs, just a little, usually just a little snippet of something, but just to have people have a chance to express what they've created in the community. And then we always throughout, but hopefully at the end of every module, we'll also integrate what was today's topic and the methods and how does that apply to your leadership. We're going to integrate it into whatever your leadership issues or challenges or opportunities are. And then there'll be homework that mostly is inner work, and sometimes there'll be outer work kinds of things that you would be asked to do. And I didn't put it in here, but we'll also be providing readings and resources and videos and other kinds of things that will help you to support you in this class. So let me stop sharing. Oh, no, that's right. I've got one more thing I want to do. We have 3 questions that the 3 of us will share just some brief thoughts on before we go on to other things we're doing today. But just to give you a little bit of background on who we are and how we think about it, these are our 3 questions. What is leadership to us, Judi, Spring, and Paul? What does songwriting mean to us and our leadership? And what are the benefits that songwriting has brought to our lives? So I invite you, Paul and Spring, to kick off anything that you want to say about leadership, songwriting, and the benefits of songwriting. And we'll each talk for 2 or 3 minutes about leadership and songwriting from our own experience.
Paul, you're muted. Please unmute.
Hello. So I'll chime in. I was I've had a lot of different training and been a part of a lot of different programs, because at Face the Music, we've been a part of a lot of different corporate leadership programs. So I get a lot of different perspectives on it. And the one like definition of leadership for me that's the most fascinating, this is sort of my home court, is facilitating collective resonance. So it's working with a group of people to come together in a resonant kind of way to achieve a vision and to contribute to the vision, not just to give a vision. And I got this from my consulting trainer, Alain Cardone. He was saying, achieving true collective resonance is more important than superficially agreeing to like a vision that we have and trying to get everybody on board. The group becomes present to that and to their environment and what they can do together, and they welcome things that are emerging rather than trying to come from what they know and build from that, and new perspectives come in, and ultimately more sustainable and creative solutions. So that's sort of the leadership when I think of that, and I do when I'm also, I think everyone's a leader, but also sometimes you are the leader that's leading the leaders. And when I'm in that position, to keep that in mind, because I was, my first job was with Ford Motor Company, and leading was much more directive and in a different mood. So there is that sort of programming within me. So to really look at here's what we're doing here. We're all going to do something together. And I just talk about songwriting because I was doing consulting back in the 90s, and we have a very systemic approach trying to understand what the current system is, and for people to get conscious of that, and to look at leverage points to evolve their system into something that's going to create something that they're looking for, something better, more whole and more satisfying. And we used to do a lot of different activities, and I started one time, I took my guitar and had people do song. We did an ad-lib blues thing. And everybody was French, by the way, but that's another story. But the accessing of the music itself opens up it. I mean, just neurologically, it opens up the brain and lights up things in a much different way than, if we're in a room with a flip chart, writing down ideas or brainstorming, and it also there's a communal feel to co-creating together and singing, and then what is said, the content of the lyrics, what people are expressing is very interesting. And because they're putting it into lyrics, it tends to be expressed in a new way, and in a way that we could sort of look at and understand, something interesting about what's going on that maybe we haven't seen before. So that's where the music and leadership for me. So we formed Face the Music and been doing this for 24 years, I think now. And on the last question, that songwriting, what is brought to our lives, I just, for me, it's a great palette of colors to, express things that I didn't even know were inside of me, or sometimes it's things coming from the outside that I hadn't accessed. And Spring and Judi know pretty well that I have a very, how should we say, eclectic approach, and my songs, one to the other, don't often sound like they're made by the same person, but that sort of fits my Edgewalker personality. And one of my criteria for a song is I want it to amuse me in some way. So I entertain myself at the same time, and the fun brings like an energy to it, even if it's about a difficult subject or emotions that I'm trying to access. It's still like there's some fun, there's a joy in the expression of it. So with that, I think I'll leave it right there and pass it to you, Spring.
Great. Thank you. I feel the joy that you are transmitting through your words, and of course I've heard many of your songs, and it's like that. There's different facets, the moody one, the philosophical one, and then the hard rock and the punk irreverent one. So that's to me. Let's see. What I will say. I guess I'll follow these questions. What leadership is to us. I think. My background as a Asian woman immigrant, I think when I came to songwriting, I have lots of aspiration and lots of passion, wants to participate in social change, transformation. But because of these positions I'm in the society, I feel many times often the kind of predominant way of exercising power is either not available to me or it's not my style. And I need to find my way of leadership, and which is congruent with my culture, congruent with my being an immigrant, and also English is my second language. So as I enter into a profession that's predominantly using language, I felt actually very, often very vulnerable and disadvantaged because of the second language thing. And it was then songwriting entered into my life. In fact, it was through songwriting I heard this, Judi was talking about the last section of our program is about allies resource guidance. It was through songwriting I was connected with this internal guidance, said, as long as you sing, just find your path through singing. And that's what I did, is whenever I run into obstacles and challenges, insurmountable challenge I didn't know how to overcome, I dropped into this deep grief and trauma, because challenge eventually failure, not meeting expectation will trigger the past trauma. It was songwriting again and again that one comforted me, healed my trauma, and through singing the song that came to me that way, a new pathway would open up. And that has to do with, because songwriting is an integrative process. It engages both our left and right side, left and right brain hemisphere. And so some of you may know this, I don't know if I can say his name quite right, but Ian McGilchrist wrote this really tremendous volumes of book showing that how our cultural, our social structure has been so much being dominated by an overused left brain kind of pattern, analytical, a rigid logical rationality, which drive this unlimited growth pattern, which is kicking us, basically on this death march. And alongside with that, also the right brain's activity, contemplative, artistic, contemplative, artistic, oriented to beauty and pleasure, joy, is also in a silo, and so there's this two sides of it. So I feel but when I apply songwriting into leadership, to me, it really creates a pathway for the left and right brain, for the artistic, the beauty-oriented part, to bring it back into the center of our life, and to have the analytical, rational part to be listening to the right brain, to listening to the artful, intrinsically holistic part of ourselves. And like what Paul and Judi has both talked about, as I think many of the people who are listening to this, or if you are tuning into our channel, you are in some way in a leading position, in the sense you are tuning into the larger picture. You are aware of your personal connection, what's happening on the planetary level. So whether or not you have an explicit title of leadership, you are in a leading position, you are attuning to what's the evolutionary pathway that is leading us forward. So the songs, the music, because so much of our life, our social activities is mediated by words these days, by verbal articulation. We verbalize things, and that becomes the reality that we live in. And this reality that constructed by verbalization and the logic dominated by left brain activity is faltering, and how do we get out of this giant matrix created by our verbiage? And I actually just now I saw someone in the chat mention the pre-verbal toning, pre-verbal singing. So I think the music, because inevitably when you want to sing a song that come from self, you're going to start hum. You're going to start to tap into that pre-verbal part of yourself before we start singing, before we start speaking. And that is the place, that is the part of ourself that is intrinsically connected with the mother archetype, the larger being that hold us all. So yeah, I think I'm gonna stop here. I think I've covered all the three questions. See if Judi have more to say about that.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Spring. I would say my answer to questions is the first question about what is my definition of leadership is comes from a mentor that I co-wrote a book with. His name is Mel Toomey. He's since passed on, but he still feels like a mentor to me. And one of the things he's always said was the goal of a leader, the purpose for leaders is to develop leadership in others, to develop other leaders. And I think that's very much at the center of why Paul and Spring and I do the work we do, and why we've come together to collaborate, is to share what we've learned about leadership with you and to learn from you as well. I think a good leader is always learning. I've used songs, I've used songwriting whenever I've done consulting, when I've done retreats, when I do coaching. I sometimes am inspired, as Spring was at that conference, sometimes I'm inspired to write a song for the situation. And sometimes I want to open with a song because the Spring was just talking about the right brain and the left brain and the being able to move in our modalities, our ways of being and ways of thinking, and to integrate them. Music, poetry, drama, visual arts, all of that are shortcuts. I call them shortcuts to the soul. And so anything that we can do that helps people to get to their core, their essence, helps their leadership and helps whatever they're up to in the world, that would have a positive impact. So I've used music on those retreats. I sing to, when I do a coaching session, I might sing to my client beforehand. I've taught at a university for many years and would frequently use music in the class. Often I would use a song right before they would take a test, because I told them that when you're in stress, like test taking, your brain doesn't function in a holistic way. It's like you go to the amygdala, you freeze, you get scared, and you can't remember all that you know. So I would sing to them to say, this allows your full brain to operate. You're going to be in the flow. You're going to remember everything you studied, and you will do really well on the test. And, you know, some of that might be intention or suggestion, but they love that. And one student told me that after she moved on from my class, that she would sit in her car and listen to music before any other test taking. So I think it has a lot of interesting applications. One time when I was at the University of New Haven in Connecticut, where I taught for 17 years, I brought together a group of people to look at spirituality in the workplace. And one particular meeting, each person brought the favorite piece of music, and we played it, and they would talk about why it was favorite to them, and then they would share the song. And the magic that happened in that group from sharing something so deep and so personal was really, really beautiful. And so there's lots of wonderful applications to integrating your leadership and music and songwriting. And I think the main thing about songwriting for me is it's a self-awareness tool. I read the Diary of Anne Frank when I was 15, and the book really, really moved me, and I started keeping a journal, and I journaled for many, many years, and occasionally still journal. But I've come to realize that my songs are my form of journaling. They help me to see what's important to me, what wants to come through, what's the emotion, as Paul talked about, or what's the story. A lot of my songs are political now, because I think people need to be educated about our heroes, because we see so many enemies around, or people we might call enemies. We need to get off that and look at what's working and get inspired by those who fight for social justice and get encouraged to be the same. So I think there's many applications for leadership in many parts of our lives. So I think that's it for me. We are going to now, I'm going to move it back to you, Spring, to get us involved in a little exercise.
Yeah. So we thought it would be fun to try to sing some, and it also involve you too, for those of you who are listening. So here's what we're gonna do. So for those of you on webinar, you can type in the chat, right? Yeah. So we're gonna give you a prompt. The prompt is in the form of you may call it a prayer. It's start with may. Let's say may I be held, or so. All the prompt start with may, and then you can put in anything as the noun, and then followed by whatever the prayer is. The prayer to a specific person, to the world, to a place, to river, star, So I invite you to just take a moment and take a moment of take some breaths and drop into yourself and feeling into your heart and not worry about what comes out. You may either type or find a piece of paper and just free write for 2 minutes. And then when you feel like you can put your prayer spontaneously flowing out of your heart right now into the chat. And that will be our lyric. And the three of us will try to sing them. Thank you, Sheila. Sheila put, yeah, okay, thank you. I already see lyrics popping up in the chat box. And we'll hold the space for about 2-3 minutes for people to populate the chat. And make sure you set your chat to all, to send it to everyone, so that everyone can see your input. And so you don't have to play an instrument to sing, to write your song. In fact, when I first learned to write song, I don't play any instrument. So we will cover more of that in the class. But for now, the three of us, we're gonna try to find the tune. So, and Paul, if you so for just reminder to all three of us about original sound for musician. Thank you all for the beautiful lyrics here, and we're gonna give it a go. So, Paul, and we will be.
All right. Let me see. Should I sing about the typo as well? All right. As I sit here by the water, sit down and pray, may all my beings be heard, may I be kind, may peace prevail, may love abound, connection guide us, may our hearts become one. Who's next?
Beautiful. Thank you. I'm gonna have to zoom into a chunk of the chat so I can see them well and talk.
Yeah, I was able to maximize it to make it full page.
Oh, okay, that's good. Wait. Okay, I'm just gonna zoom into this chunk. And can you, yes, I'm gonna turn on my original music. And Paul, yes, okay. May I be released from self. May I learn the peace way through life. May all be well. May we know the peace in our hearts. On the path of dying, give birth today. May all these intentions manifest. May I dance with the gods of song. Old selves crowds as new life emerge. So may all the intention manifest. May I dance with the gods of song. Oh, may all be well. May we know the peace in our hearts. Oh, may it be, may it be.
May the solstice sun shine upon us with peace. May we be love incarnate. May I be well. May the world be okay. May the animals be happy and content. May the plants reach for the sun. May the sun and moon shine. Heal, heal, and transform. May all be well. May all be well. May all be well. May we all be well.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Yeah, so hope you enjoy our presentation. I hope what we shared inspire you to start humming and singing and open to the river of sound that wants to flow through your heart and your voice. And I will be at the after chat and after singing, after songs. So I don't know if Judi and Paul do you plan to be there? Do you have?
Yes.
Yes,
Oh,
I can be
great.
there for just a little while.
Sure, yeah. And I have So welcome you to try our free masterclass. It's 90 minutes on August 14th. Sorry for the typo. So let's see, anything else? Judi and
Oh, I forgot to tell people we have so far 2 reference books that we're going to use for the course. And one of them is called The Cosmic Path to Melody and Lyrics by Ernie Hill. And the other is called Healed by a Song by Mary Gaucher. And both of those books are very inspiring about finding your deep inner song, and you're finding new ways to express it.
And that is also on the website, on the leadership, songwriting and the leadership website. I'm gonna put it there again.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you all for being here with us and sharing your heart and listening to us. And hopefully you hummed and sang with us. And we'll see you in the after chat. And so long. So long. So long. Bye.